This is an overview of Lesson 11, Your Design. This week picks up on last week. Remember that what we've done in the design sprint learning so far in the design unit in our work-based learning course is that we went through the understand process where the students understood what they had to do to go out and find a problem to solve that would solve something for people. They then went to define their problem with user research. Last week, we started to do diverging, where the students go off on their own and think about their own idea to capture the final idea that their team had decided on, but capture it in a one-sentence design document, and to start to think about what the user interface and user experience would look like. But they're doing that individually last week. This week is the decide phase, where all the team members from a team come together and decide on a design statement and a design for their website. Once that is done, the design unit of the course is done, and they can move on to implementing a prototype. The lesson this week has one day of the students doing a user interface, user experience design as a team in the decide phase, and also a mentor meeting. So the learning objective is to create a wireframe, and we'll show you what a wireframe is in a few minutes, of the website that the student team will build. And they're going to use a process used by Google called Zen voting to decide on what the wireframe should look like. That's in day one, and that's covered in the day one lesson. Day two is the mentor meeting. Let's look at what the day one exercise is. They're going to be doing three different things in day one. They're going to be creating something called a Crazy 8 sketch, doing something called Zen voting, and then doing something called a wireframe. And we will look at all of those. So here's an example of some of the week 11 artifacts. Here is an example of a Crazy 8 sketch, just to give you some idea before we get into what you're going to be doing with your students. It's hard to tell in this diagram, but this is a piece of paper that was folded 8 times. You can kind of see here is one fold, here is another fold. So the students will fold the paper to get these six folds in this one. It can be folded again to get 8, but 6 was fine for this one. What they do is in each rectangle, they lay out what each page might look like. This could be, for instance, the blog page, the About Us page, the Walking Options page. And all they do is they use a pencil to write in squares, rectangles, text, very simple representations of what the web page will look like. No color, no actual graphics, no links that work, just an idea of what the layout might look like. This is a Crazy 8 sketch. The idea is each student will make their own based on their own concept of what the website looks like. And this is exactly what Google does, and it's described in the videos the students watched. Google does this with their teams to get the best possible design. So once all the students have done their Crazy 8s, you put them into a Google form, and the students again vote on which one they like the best in a Zen vote. And a Zen vote is this idea that they anonymously rank the drawings 1 through 5, or rate drawings 1 through 5, and the drawing with the highest ratings wins. Whatever is the highest becomes the basis for the team's user interface. The team then works from that, makes some tweaks to it, saying, well, the winning thing was good, but I'd like it to have a little different logo or a little different navigation. They use the winning design as the basis, and then they work with it. Then they get the final design, which is a more formal drawing out of a wireframe that they can do in any kind of drawing tool. This one down here was done simply as Google Slides by putting in rectangles and text boxes. So that's what this week is all about, is getting your students to do Crazy 8 sketches, vote on them, and do a wireframe. There are resources available, like what is a wireframe? The Crazy 8 videos were in the previous week, so they saw those and got to think about them over the weekend before starting here. So they should know what a Crazy 8 is from the previous week's videos. And these videos do a little more detail on what a wireframe is. So the idea is that you can have them watch the videos or use the wireframing activity guide, which they should have completed. I think the last lesson asked for you to assign this to them as homework, If not, you could take some time before class to give them the wireframe videos and the wireframe activity guide. Then they have to do the Crazy 8 assignment. So the Crazy 8 assignment is shown up here. Clicking on it, it describes that each student should take the paper, fold it, and go ahead and do a Crazy 8. There's some instructions here with some links to further instructions, but they also saw this in the video. It then explains that the students will lay the Crazy 8 sketches out on a table anonymously so that no one knows who made them. Again, Zen voting is supposed to take personality out of the decision. And have each of those sketches labeled with a simple label like 1, 2, 3, 4. The idea is then you or one of your students in the team puts up a Google form to vote or to rate each sketch on a Likert scale of 1, I don't like it that much, to 5, I love it. Each student rates each sketch. Then you as the teacher go through and pick the winning design from each team to let them know here, and you hand them the Crazy 8 sketch. This is the sketch that won. And at that point, the anonymity can go away. The student who did it can be proud and can talk about it. But the idea is that in the voting process, personalities are taken out of it. Since the Crazy 8 is individual, each student should take a picture of their own Crazy 8 sketch and turn it in. Additionally, the team will be working together here in step 3, number 3, to create their wireframe, where they just draw it out in a drawing tool together, and each student should take a picture of that and turn it in as part of their assignment. And here we have an example of a wireframe for the dog walking that you can show to your students in case they're interested. Additionally, we have a rubric for the assignment. Now, day 2 is a meeting with their mentor to discuss the design. So the student should be prepared to show their wireframe and talk through the design process with their mentor. And there's a mentor activity guide here that sets that up for you and the mentor so the mentor can facilitate the discussion with the students, asking the students to see their design, talking with the students about why they made design decisions, maybe making recommendations to end up tweaking the wireframe a little bit to have more kind of industrial viewpoint to it. So the mentor activity guide, as with the other ones that you've seen in the course, have the expectations of the mentor meeting, the student artifacts that have been generated so the mentor knows. The mentor knows also from the document what was covered in class. And it has a number of questions that you and the mentor can set up to facilitate discussion with the students. So here at the end of week 11, we finished the design unit of the course, and the students now have a design in the form of a wireframe that they can take into the next unit of the course where they start to build their website.